Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome into GarageBand Weekly here on Studio Live today, your one-stop shop for all things GarageBand, Apple, home recording, technology, politics. No, we're not going to delve into politics, but I did want to put a warning right up front because I know some people don't want anything involving economics or political things. And because we're talking about situations that do affect you and do affect the tech industry, that are a little bit related to the political landscape and global economic processes. So if that's not your bag, baby, you can skip this one. I give you all the permission because it's not for everyone, and but I think it's important to at least have a basic working knowledge and an understanding of some of the things that might actually impact you and me moving forward. Because I don't know about you, but I like technology and I like being able to afford to not only live, but buy the products and services that I like to use to create, record, and release my best music. And that's what we're here for too. So we'll still talk GarageBand if you've got questions about your GarageBand or your Logic Pro or your home recording or your creating or anything to do with your own music. Feel free to throw those questions. The best way to get my attention as we chat away here is to put a big chunky Q in the live chat here, and that will tell me that you have a question, and I can go ahead and attempt to answer it. We got a bunch of news and notes to talk through here today before we dive into the feature topic. And yeah, again, I know people are like, oh, Johns, you're talking about global economics and TikTok in the same show. Could you just please go back to showing us how to use the piano in GarageBand because this is all way too heavy? Well, in the usual way, we're not doing this in a clickbaity way or a heavy duty way or a hopefully not a partisan way. I just want to get all the facts out there so that you know what's going on. And I don't like watching the news because I'm a kid, but I do have to keep an eye on things that impact both me as a creator, that could be a problem, but also my community, my general audience out there, because you folks are impacted by a lot of these sort of things as well. And just understanding, or at least having a working knowledge of them, is important. G'day to the folks who are here live. Yes, thank you, Thomas. See, Thomas is better at promoting my stuff than I am, for sure. You can indeed check out the GarageBand FAQ. That's at studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand. If you want to skip all this and just learn about GarageBand stuff, you can support me over on the Patreon as well, or why not become a channel member as well. This is live, Gary Hubs. I hope you are doing well, my friend. Yeah, sometimes you have to get heavy. Hello to you, Mark Bro. G'day, Al Davis Music. I hope you are doing well, my friend. And Mr. Hobbyarty, nearly pronounced your name correctly, Mr. Fomiati. We've got a weird thing where for some reason we just respond to each other with three emojis. Every time he leaves a comment, it's three emojis, and I just go back with three emojis, and yeah. Kenny Lord says, I live in Canada and the shite is flying. Hello to you, Kenny. Yes, we've got a few Americans and Canadians who are our primary audience. I was chatting to my folks last night. I was over at Mum and Dad's for dinner, and I must apologise to them, not just here, but actually in person, because I was just so drained of energy. And I was chatting to my mum at one point, and I'm like, it's just, I'm exhausted because even though here in Australia we're not impacted by a lot of this stuff right now, I just feel the overall just energy drain and sapping that a lot of this stuff is taking. And again, this is not even a partisan thing, just it's too much. Humans are not meant to have to process this much stuff. The government used to just be this big invisible thing that just, made sure that the trains ran on time or close to it. And now it just seems to be, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think. But yeah, and I was just saying that, look, it's exhausting. And plus, I'm thinking about me. Like, we live in capitalist society, and I'm not that selfish. I don't think so. But I also need to ensure that I can continue doing this, and the impacts of a lot of this stuff happening, they're having on products and services. Don't forget the services side of things, and the fact that I'm here for two things. Number one is you. So thank you, by the way. Thank you, every Patreon, every member of the channel here, everyone who makes a kind donation. I had one from Sal overnight. Thank you, Sal. You rock, my friend. Everything that you help me with can help keep me here employed full time and doing this sort of stuff. But the other thing is, I do have to lean heavily on businesses and corporations, both through sponsorships, but also through the ads that are run on these videos. A lot of my revenue comes through this channel is advertising. Love it or hate it, it's a fact of life, it's a reality. And guess what? Business confidence is not high right now. Businesses that are producing products or services don't really know what their next quarter is going to look like because a lot of it depends on what happens in the next few weeks and months. So it's anytime there's uncertainty, it's why economics is not interesting, but at least very nuanced because uncertainty makes people save money, which is a good thing for you as an individual, but not a good thing for the economy. And when people are saving money and not spending money because they're not sure that they're going to be able to, feed their family or keep the lights on next month, it means that those businesses don't advertise, don't promote, don't sponsor content like this. So I say all that not so that you can get the tiny violins out for me, but just to explain that if I seem a little low energy and if I just sort of put my head in my hands and sigh occasionally over the next few weeks, it's not you and it's not really me. It is what it is, said someone much wiser than me. Let's say g'day to some other folks who are here live. This is going to be a pretty casual, just general chatty kind of show, by the way. G'day, Deep Gravity over there in Melbourne town. Hope you are doing well. You stock up on that Canadian maple syrup, absolutely. Coming across the border there. I'm going to call it, I'm going to call it freedom syrup now. I like it, Gary. Good job. All righty. Hello to you, Barry Glenn. If you don't keep up in the cat, you're still a bit dozy. I love it. Sorry, I know Barry's been under the weather. So, yes, we know what Barry means there. Let's talk news and notes, shall we? iOS and iPadOS 18.3 are out. I've got them on most of my devices. I haven't quite done the full quota. No change, no difference. As I mentioned last week, they removed that news summary notification feature, which I kind of missed because it was kind of fun seeing how they would summarize some of the long messages that used to come in. I had a long message from my phone company. I use a company called Vodafone here in Australia, and it's like Vodafone has sent you your latest bill for the month ending in blah, 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 blah. And it was funny because I can't even remember what the summary was, but it was something like, Vodafone would like you to pay them money. It's like, yes, okay. I guess you're cutting to the chase there. But yeah, everything else, it is working fine. I'm going to say it because I say it every time. If you're in the middle of a major project, please don't update your iOS or your iPadOS version right now. It can wait. It is not super duper urgent. You got a bit of time there. So depending which sources you look at, there's apparently some security issues, but nothing that we've seen or heard of that is going to cause you major problems right now. I mean, 17.7 is still secure. So if you're absolutely paranoid about security update, but if you're paranoid about, not allowing your work to be done, then don't update. Yep. It's not new, Thomas. So I talked about it last week. I like to give an update when it's first released and then give the okay, it's okay now. So your very early adopters were already updating last week. I've updated through the week, and now I haven't found any major bugs. And keeping my ear to the ground of the music creation and GarageBand community, no one seems to have major problems going from 18.2 to 18.3. There's still a lot of holdouts. There's still a lot of people that, weirdly, for a very forward bunch, the iPad music creation community, a little bit hesitant when it comes to updating. And I think they've been, once bitten, twice shy. A lot of these folks have been bitten about 26 times between iOS 7 and iOS 18. So yeah, you do need to be cautious. If you're using massive amounts of apps and lots of interconnecting AUV3s and stuff, you're going to be more susceptible than someone like myself that's just a basic B that uses GarageBand and Logic and stock plugins. Apple Intelligence. I was reading articles about Apple Intelligence this week and what a failure it's been. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's been a failure. I don't really use it for anything. Weirdly, the only thing I've found it super useful for with Apple Intelligence, well, two things, is the image playground. You would have seen some of the thumbnails. It's just fun, just to throw random things out there. So the scary hour I did for the happy hour, I used an image playground thing, and I did the one where I did the 5 decades, 60s through to the noughties, and I just made myself dressed in different stuff, and that was really easy to do through image playground. So that was fun. And the other thing I'm using, ironically, is the Chat GPT integration. So when it gets to, oh, I don't know that, where Siri used to say, I can't find the answer to that. Or would you like me to search the internet? Now it just brings up the check Chat GPT. And again, don't trust it. Don't trust AI with everything, but you can. It's better. It's better than, because what people have been saying is a lot of the challenges with Apple Intelligence is because it's so private, because it's not scraping a whole bunch of data from the publicly available internet like every other AI model is, then it's not actually as useful. So there's this whole debate between, if it's completely private, it's only got your data in it, it's not going to be useful because it can't tell you stuff that's not your own stuff. Whereas the flip side of that is, do you really want it to know not only all your data, but share that and integrate that with a lot of public data? So it's that whole usefulness. It's like the two-factor authentication thing. It's the security versus convenience and usefulness, isn't it? GarageBand sound pack. So we've now had the new sound pack for nearly 2 weeks now, the new guitar-based sound pack. If you haven't checked it out, let's dive in here to GarageBand and to take a wee look, just mostly to make sure that, yep, everything's set up correctly here. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, it's over here in the sound library, and you can come in here. It's from Tosin Abasi. It is just loops. So it is just Apple loops, 170 Apple loops. They're cool. I think where this is going to be useful is especially in Logic Pro for iPad. I've been having a back and forth with one of my patrons at the moment, which has been really interesting. They've been delving into these loops and doing things like changing the global key and bringing a loop in to kind of match their own sounds, like their own song that's already created. So I think there's some cool things that these sort of loops, now that they're a bit more complex and a bit more sophisticated and actually have chords attached to them and multiple chords, that could actually be an interesting use. The difference is that because they're not toppers and hi-hats and shakers and 808s and basses and kicks and snares, mixing and matching and just bringing a bunch of them together, less is more. So yeah, choosing one of these loops and then building around it, I think is going to be more the way to go than trying to integrate a whole bunch of loops into different things. Al Davis, thanks for your question. I'll get to that. I'll flag it and get to that in just a jiff, excuse me. Frog in the throat. Yeah, it's still very hot here. It's only going to be 34 degrees Celsius here today. What else we got in the news and notes? Wanted to talk briefly about age verification. It's been in the news around a lot of things, around social media, and also around things like proving that you're 13 to be able to download some apps, and that you're 18 to be able to use some things. And I don't really have much to say about this except that it's going to be very difficult to implement any sort of age verification for any sort of systems or products. And I don't know what the solution is. So I just wanted to put it out there because here in Australia in particular, there's the whole social media ban. That isn't it funny how we all have these things that keep getting banned and then they're not implemented. And they've put the political side of it through, they've put the law through before they've thought about the practical implementation. And it's another reinforcement that the people in charge of decisions around things don't have a working understanding of those things. And worse than that, they're not even seeking to understand by talking to experts about it. So yeah, basically they could talk to anyone in this live chat right now who would be able to tell them all of the pitfalls and all the problems and all the things they'd have to consider before putting something like an age verification thing in for anything. Even even with my children, just trying to it's going to get to the point where I'm going to have to verify that I'm an adult and that my child belongs to me before they're going to be able to have their age verified to be able to do things and use things. It's a bit like when we went on a cruise, and not only did they have to show ID and I had to show ID, I had to show ID to prove that they were my children, which here in Australia is your Medicare card because it's got your name and all of your dependents listed on it. So I was like, huh. So is this because people are literally like smuggling children that aren't theirs onto cruise ships? And I'm like, hey, if you can think it, someone's doing it, as weird as it is in the world. So yeah, just not talk about that. AI. There's if you follow the AI news, again, not directly impacting things like music creation, but I guess it does because of all the AI music creation engines as well. But Deepseek, you might have heard of, a Chinese AI model. Ah, quick, scare, run, moral panic. A Chinese AI model that apparently, according to the people who created it, which are always the best source, was made for only $6 million. And if you know how much it costs to do AI models, how much it costs in terms of money, and most of that money being processing power and energy required, that's a pretty big deal. Now, there's two sides to it. People like Nvidia and others whose share prices plummeted because they want to sell lots of hardware to help people make very complicated and energy hungry AI models. They've said this is just scraping stuff that's already been done, so it's cheating, and it's not really only using $6 million or a low amount of energy because it's actually using the stuff that's already there and already been done. So, yeah, with all these sort of things, there's always two sides to it. And the last thing I wanted to say there is just reinforcing that thing that decision makers need to understand the tech industry. It's not news or notes or anything, but all the news this week, every single piece of news seems to be related to the fact that people are making decisions without A, considering the impact or the consequences of those decisions, and B, without understanding what the thing that they're deciding about actually is. They're not the experts in the thing. So when things happen like, hey, the aviation authority in America should only use X now instead of doing press releases or emails. Let's just say you have to. We're only going to use the X account to give you information about plane crashes and incidents and things. Yeah, except that one of the fundamental things in the US government and constitution says that information for the people must be publicly available. And X is a private site that you need to log in to get to. And what if you're working in these and, oh, I don't know, said something slightly mean about the founder or owner of this X company and you were, oh, I don't know, blocked forever? How do you now get the information that the government's providing because they're doing it through one private company? So yeah, look, I know it's like shooting fish in a barrel at the moment to say, people, big decision makers making decisions are just doing it for their own self-serving needs and to make them and their friends richer. It's very obvious, but it's also baffling that it's apparently not that obvious to everyone. It's very odd. We'll dive into our feature topic in just a moment. They're all experts in everything and nothing simultaneously. Yeah, master of all trade, no, jack of all trades, master of none. And I've said it a bunch of times, Thomas. You're probably sick of me saying this. Anyone who admits no fault or no failure has them all. So basically, the more you think you are always right, the more gaps there are in your knowledge and understanding. The smartest people I have ever met and ever interacted with me are the humblest people. They are constantly saying, "Hey, I make mistakes. Hey, like the whole testing process, the whole scientific method is not around proving a fact that I already think is the fact. It's about, hey, let's put this hypothesis out there. Oh, I was totally wrong. Cool. Let's try again." That's what smart people do. And I'm just baffled. I just don't understand how we've got to this point where we think that the people that get up there and say, I'm always right and my thoughts are always the best and I have the best thoughts are actually the smartest people because they're not. It's the exact opposite. I know I'm speaking to the wrong crowd here, but still, Shimmer FX doesn't work for me. 18.2.1 in touch with the creators. Are not sure. Okay, well there you go. There is something. Have you tried updating to 18.3, Joe? Maybe that could be the answer. Maybe. -2 in the snow. Building more igloos as we speak. Wowzers. Yeah. We live in a three poles: political power, economic power, and techno power. No one knows how to deal with this. Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of our infrastructure and a lot of our laws and a lot of our environment has just been built before technology existed. And instead of recreating and removing the things that made no sense anymore and adding in new ones, we just tried to smoosh it all in there. We tried to cram all of this new technology that is not based on the reality we used to live in into the old laws. It's why the old bear arms thing doesn't matter because yeah, one day the King of England's going to come in and start pushing you around, so you better have your pew pew handy. And it's like, yeah, no, that's got nothing to do with 2025 at all. But leaning on, again, laws and things. And the same thing here. People that think I just pick on Americans, the Australian Constitution is absolute bullshit, bananas, bonkers also. So I'm not just saying it's the one thing and blame this one country. Ours was written in 1788, so not much more recent than all of your stuff. So it's also crazy bananas. Actually, no, our Constitution was only in 1900, wasn't it? 1901. I failed Australian history, can you tell? Alrighty, let's continue on. So we did have a question there to bring us back to music creation. Thank you, Al Davis. It's Al Davis and Rena who are just like, can we just get back to talking about GarageBand now? Can you automate volume on separate instruments in GarageBand iOS? So yes, it is. It's a per track basis, as Mark Bro is saying here. It's a per track basis. So let's show you. Let's just do a quick crash course in the world of automation because it's fun. It's automation works well. It does good things. What track am I in here? Oh, this was just my empty piano track I was using because I played some piano on the happy hour. I know it's been a while since I've been playing any keys. So here is your automation that you have, and in terms of being able to automate, it's per track. So if you've got a track that has multiple instruments in it, then no, but generally you'll only have one instrument per track. Now, in the case of things like drums, you can use the methods that I show on the channel here to split out the drums. So you can turn a drummer track into an individual drum track, and then you can split that out. You can do the same thing with your MIDI tracks. You can actually create multiple tracks and then split them out. If you're using something that's like a multi-instrument AUV3 or something like Numa Player, then there's not really any way to do that. But if you go to the YouTube and you type Pete Johns Automation, there's a whole playlist there. There's about 20 different videos showing you how to do all this stuff. Your basic fundamentals are, if you want to automate your track, you tap always on the head. The amount of people, and I've done new videos, and every time I do a new video, I'm like, do not tap on this section. I'm not saying this is you, Al, but do not tap on this section. Tap on the icon. I know it's a little non-intuitive because people are like, I want to automate the volume of this audio. But no, you've actually got to tap out here and actually tap on that one. And this is where you go to automation. So you put your automation in there, you slide on your thing in the top left corner, you tap in your points of where you want volume changes to occur. You turn that off, and then you just use these to slide up and down and to determine the volume of that. So ordinarily, you might want to use this as a bit of like a fade in, or you might want to use it to do something like between phrases. So maybe here, when I go from the verse to the chorus, I want to level out the volume of that. And it's actually automation is highly underrated and underutilized. A lot of people don't use automation enough for the things that they're doing. The other thing, if you want to separate different things that you're automating, well, I just need to plug this in. I just realized I don't have the audio coming through. You can tell. Oh, why USB? Why USB always upside down? Every time I plug in a USB-A plug, it always goes upside down the first time. I'll just get this set up so that we can have some audio here in case I need to demonstrate anything later. The other thing that we can do is duplicate out a track and then do things like automate just the effects. That's sort of a next level thing. If you search Pete Johns Automate Effects, you can see that. And yeah, you can do that. So I did videos about how you can automate different sections. So if you split it out and put it across two different tracks, you can put, say, just the last word on one track, and that's where you can do cool things like get the delay, lay, on the very last word. So you can do that cool punk stuff with that. So yeah, automation is absolutely cool. It's simple because you can't automate effects and things. I can't automate effects and pannings out of the box in GarageBand iOS, but with a few tweaks and tricks and tips that I show you, you can do it as well. So there you go. We've got interesting stuff. I didn't see any of the Grammys, so I'm gonna take Thomas on this one. Did you hear Chappell Roan's acceptance speech last night, basically begging labels and record companies to ensure up and coming artists make a living wage? Never heard of music but fire. Yeah, so I'll have to ask my kids because they are fans of newer artists and Chapel Roan. And yeah, it is going to be interesting, isn't it? Like the newer artists that are coming up, it is nice to hear these sort of artists saying things like that because kind of to the point I made before about the not understanding of the platforms and the decision makers in each industry not being the ones that actually understand the industry or are even impacted by the industry. It's like having millionaires and billionaires making decisions about economic policy for folks that are living under the poverty line is kind of broken, isn't it? Because they've never lived under the poverty line. They've got no idea what it means to actually take your calculator to the supermarket and see what food you can afford this week. That's not even in their wheelhouse, their realm of understanding or possibility. So why are they making the decisions about those people? Oh, because they know the best. No, they don't. They don't know best. They've just been very privileged and lucky to be in the positions that they have been in. And yes, the American dream, work hard, blah, blah, blah. But what's the ratio? Of all the millionaires and billionaires, what's the ratio of American dream, work hard, rise up from the gutter versus, yeah, had all of the advantages and things in place to start with? Anyway, I can't stop it. The people in power used to work for the people. Now they work for more power. And that's the problem. We're just living in the Scarface world now. It's just you got to get the money first. When you get the money, then you get the power. And you get the power, then you get the women. And that seems to be what you do there. Yes, Joe, don't update if you're in the middle of a project. Good point. Absolutely good point. All right. But yeah, no, I will have to look that up. I probably can't play it because I'd probably get pinged, but for copyright, and then I can't make a living, so I'll explore it. With that, let me do the work for you. Let's just see if we can find it. Maybe I'll do a reaction video to it. Chapel Roan Grammys 2025 speech. It's got to be available somewhere, doesn't it? Chapel Roan wins Best New Artist in the Grammy 19 hours ago. Recording Academy Grammys. So yeah, there's an official video over here. So it looks like. So yeah, see, I didn't even know what Chapel Roan looked like. I've heard her songs probably. So she had a performance there as well. Reacts to Grammy Best Artist. Know him after years of music. Yeah, good on her. I like it. So Grammy speech singer demands livable wages and healthcare for developing artists. There you go. All right, so that's probably a better one to watch than the official Grammys one. I don't know if they censored her or what went on there. But yeah, if you search that Chapel Roan Grammys speech, that'll be something I'll be looking at directly after the show. Very cool stuff. Best metal performance was Gojira at the Olympics. Epic. Very cool. Yeah, no, again, yes, my views on this stuff. Bloody hippie Johns doesn't like competitive stuff, and I really don't. Like, I don't. The fact that you're a better that than you are, and I'm a better this than I like. It all just feels creepy and gross and weird to me. I don't dig it. That's why I don't like the singing competitions. It's why look, even Battle of the Bands and stuff. It's like how to make one person happy and everyone else really unhappy. Yeah. All right. Speaking of commercial things, I'm going to run an ad. So we are at the halfway point of the show. We'll dive in and be ranting more about things. Excuse me, in just a jiffy. But there'll be an ad being run right now. If you've got YouTube Premium, you won't see the ad if you would like to choose to go that route. Or if you do see the ad and you interact with it or you don't or whatever, just feel good, feel warm in your cockles that you're supporting independent creator and helping me have a livable wage. Joe says that when we first came to Canada, I had to use the food bank, and Sally Ann helped us at Christmas with gifts for the kids. See, that's the thing. Joe and Barry should be in charge. I think that, yeah, there's not enough people. It's, yeah, again, like back when I worked in the corporate world, there was this thing where that they would have like, here's the model employee, and there was legitimately things and research and work done and go, here's the aptitude, here's the abilities, and here's what we want in a person that's a good worker in this particular environment. And I would always say, doesn't that go against like wanting to have diversity and different ideas and different opinions? Like, wouldn't you just end up with an army of clones all doing exactly the same thing? And then I realized that that's exactly what they want. They just wanted an army of call center clones that could all follow the script to the letter, take calls within their handling time that they were required, only go to the toilet once every 5 hours, and do what the frick they're told. And as soon as I said, oh, but here's this person that's got these additional skills or might have a different sort of perspective on things, it's like, nope, they would talk too long. They would not follow the script. They would not be able to meet their sales targets. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Understand one paycheck to another. And look, I'm not saying that I'm the right person either. I've been very comfortable for a very long time. Like growing up as a teenager in early 20s, sure. I didn't have a credit card, didn't have anything that I could lean on. It was literally going to the money bank, like piggy bank, and going, oh, I've got $2.40. What does that buy me? I can't quite get a cheeseburger and small fries, so I guess I'll go and get a packet of 5 2-minute noodles and eat those. That's the sort of the way it was then. But yeah, it's so weird, isn't it? So weird. Yeah. Hello, folks. Hello, Leelaverse. Hope you're doing it. Hope you're doing well today, my friend. Should we talk about TikTok? People are like, can we not? Yeah, I said at the start, yeah, if you don't want to hear about this, don't watch the video. And I'm just like, I'm going to see it fall off a cliff when I watch the replay of the view time on this one. So, what is TikTok and why? Why am I actually worried about it, and why should you care about this stuff as a music creator? That's the lens I wanted to put over this. So, if you're not familiar, TikTok used to be called Musically, music.ly, and it was originally a platform. It came after Vine. So, if you remember, Vine was like those 6-second mini videos, think like YouTube Shorts, but to the extreme. So after Vine came and went, and people were like, the funny parts of Vine were good, but we needed more time in it. Musically came around. And the idea of Musically was to connect music that was created by people with people who wanted to make videos using that music. Now, the classic one is doing dances, doing flossing, all that sort of stuff, lip syncing. And obviously, it's grown with TikTok into all sorts of videos. But the basis of this, and the reason why this is important to us as musicians, is that it was a platform originally designed to share music and to utilize people's music for something that was going to be able to be shared with other people. The idea of that is actually stunningly good because if you're a musician, it's like the whole sync licensing thing. Sync licensing is where a lot of musicians actually make some serious bank because how many TV shows are there now? How many video games are there now that need music behind them? Every time you're watching one of those property, I love property shows, like the whole property prawn genre, where it's like, hey, we got this old house, and Good Bones is cool. I like my wife watches that all the time, and I watch it. It's like this mother daughter team that like do the whole flipping of houses, but they're kind of down to earth. They're not the giant wankers that you see in some of those shows. Anyway, every one of those shows has these like little musical stings and little background music bits that go over the montages. And that's a really good thing because that's artists getting paid to create that music. Now, in the world of AI, is all of that going to be replaced by artificially generated music? I freaking hope not, because that would suck. But yeah, there's still actually available work for people doing that. And the fact that TikTok is a good thing. So I heard from someone that said, I don't even really know about TikTok, but I made a song called Enchilada something something. And they said, it's this popular dish that a lot of people make. And what do a lot of people, when they're making videos and making TikToks about making this particular popular dish, do? Yeah, they search for it. They search for a song that's going to be relevant to whatever the dish was that they made. And this one song that was called that kept popping up, and they kept adding it. And we've even seen examples of people that have just made songs of things that they know people are going to search for. And that's a way of, again, of generating income. Is it the best way? Do we really need I'm a poopy pants so that every time some kid says, hey, Buggerlugs, play I'm a poopy pants, and then there's a song called that that's like 1 minute that's been phoned in? Don't really need that, do we? But the worst thing is people are now doing exactly that, but with AI. So there's entire Spotify accounts chock full of 1 minute songs called everything you could possibly imagine. They're all generated by AI, and at this point, our old mate Eki boy, doing nothing about it. Worrying about us artists, if we don't get 100 streams or 1,000 streams on our music, we're not getting paid. but people making Mr. Poopy Pants with Suno and 4,000 other things and uploading them to Spotify, yeah, just look the other way. It'll be fine. So that's the origins of it. And it kind of hit a wall. I don't know, about 4 years ago when this old bloke was president and said, "I hate this TikTok. I do. This TikTok's terrible. It needs to go. It's probably saying bad things about me. Probably was, and it's Chinese, so it ticks all the boxes for everything bad that something could be. Oh, and it's stealing our data and ruining our children and whatever other excuses there were. So let's ban it. Let's put this law into place to ban it here in the United States of America." And that law continued on. That old bloke got out of power. Some other old bloke came into power, and he's like, "Yeah, won't somebody please think of the children?" And so he continued. He got signed in, and just before that old guy left and the other old guy came back in, they said, "Yeah, it's been banned." It got appealed because TikTok said, "Nah, we want to stay." And they're like, Supreme Court says, "You boned." And they're like, "Oh, man." And the whole thing was that at that point, it wasn't exactly that they said, "You're going out," but they said, "If you're staying here, we got some rules." It's like when you go to the nightclub and you're looking to get in, and the bouncer's like points to the sign that's like, "Nah, not in ripped jeans, no caps, no baseball caps, no high vis, no thongs." Flip flops, I'm talking. You can tell the standards are low here in Australia, can't you? It's not about wearing designer fashion. It's like, can you make sure you got shoes and that you're covering up your junk? And you're not just wearing what you wore on the job site that day and your hard hat. So they said, "No, here's the rules. Here's the things that you have to obey. You have to divest out of China. You have to be owned by an American company. All of your data, all of your algorithms, everything that you use and produce, and all the data that you keep about all of your users and all the video data needs to be kept here in the nice, safe US where nothing can possibly go wrong." And ByteDance, who are the parent company who own TikTok, they also own CapCut and some other things that you've probably heard of as well, gave them the big giant middle finger, the raspberry, and said, "Nah, not happening, not going to do it. We don't want to divest. We're going to stay here. We're ByteDance, we're a Chinese company. We've got this algorithm. You can't have it, and we're not going to do that." So they said, "Well, while you decide to do what we say, we'll give you a little bit of a stay of execution." And that's where we are. So I spoke to my daughter this morning because I said, "I'm talking about TikTok today. What's been the reaction?" And she's like, "Oh, it was banned for like a couple of hours and then it came back and now it's just back to normal." And I'm like, do you think that the folks in America that are using TikTok and that are creating on TikTok right now know that they're absolutely on borrowed time? And that unless something drastically changes, ain't no old man in the world that's going to be able to save it? And she's like, "No, no one really thinks that way. No one really cares." So I thought, well, that's very interesting, isn't it? So at this point in time, unless something miraculous happens, yeah, it's gone. It's going, gone, and it's disturbing for a number of reasons. Yeah, they want that TikTok tax cash. Say that 10 times fast. TikTok tax cash. TikTok tax cash. TikTok tax cash. They do. Yeah, it's similar to any sort of trade. It's like, yes, moral panic. This is bad for the children. This is bad for everyone. We need to stop this. But actually, just want it to be a revenue stream. It's not like gambling. Sports gambling in America has created this absolute pandemic of especially young males losing everything, just spending all their money, going broke, going bankrupt because they're betting on sport. And what is the governments in the different states doing? Nothing. Why? Because it's a revenue model for them. They've now got this revenue, and they're like, "Ooh, all this money, all these tax dollars coming in through gambling. Now that we've legalized it, instead of going to your bookie and having to find him and giving him $20 to say, I reckon the Eagles are going to win this week." Yeah, now you can just be like, how many yards will this one quarterback throw? I said, I don't know football. How many goals will Connor McDavid score between 12:05 and 12:25 on the 13th of February? And you can literally bet on absolutely everything. And again, because it's creating a revenue stream, government's like, cool, we'll keep doing it. We'll do nothing to actually help people. So there you go. Yes, famously, Mr. Beast was going to buy it. If you listen, a lot of the venture capitalists and all the big crypto bros and venture capital bros are all like, "I'll buy it. I'll buy it." People like our old mate Elno, has been interested. Wouldn't that be great? He'll change it to TikToks because he has to have X's in it or something like that. Like Jeff Bezos has been thrown out there. All of these horrible venture capitalists and rich billionaire guys. Yeah, they've all been rumored to be buying it. And yeah. Yeah, much rather him. Can Marquez Brownlee buy it? That'd be fun. As long as that Gary Vaynerchuk doesn't buy it, that would be because he loves TikTok. He always has. He loved it when it was Musically. If Gary Vaynerchuk buys it, that's it. I'm out of the TikTok world. So yeah, and here's the thing: what are TikTok doing that Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat are not doing? I would argue, so people say the difference between these is the algorithm. TikTok has a much more addictive algorithm. They don't use the word addictive, they say effective, but it's the same thing. So TikTok algorithm presents you with stuff you want to watch and it knows you, and this is part of the problem that they think is bad, that it knows you too well. But guess what? YouTube and Instagram and Snapchat and every other platform are trying to do exactly the same thing. They're not as good as it right now, but once they eliminate the competition, they sure will be, won't they? Yeah, they'll be much better. As soon as you chop off the tallest tree, guess what? All the medium-sized trees are now the best because you don't have the tall tree anymore. The tall poppy is gone. So why focus on that one platform? And why are we not having these same discussions about the horrific stuff of Instagram Reels or Facebook Reels? Because no one watches Facebook Reels or YouTube Shorts. It's one word, isn't it? It's China. It's the problem with China, and this will link into a lot of other things that we'll sort of talk about as we go through the rest of this. But the China problem, and the China problem is that you can call it xenophobia if you want. You can call it fear. You can call it the fact that one superpower doesn't want to be threatened by the other superpower getting bigger, better than them. So it can just be sort of sour grapes that no, we don't. We want the best thing, the biggest thing to be from our country, not from your country. So there's a bunch of different reasons why it can be, but at the end of the day, that's the bottom line. It's that people don't. And look, should you or should you not trust the Chinese government? I'm not here to tell you either way. I don't trust any government. So I'm not, don't worry, I'm not stockpiling things. I'm not, what do they call them? Those preppers? I'm not stockpiling like iron and metal and steel and stuff so that when the revolution happens and money is worthless, that I'll have all these riches in scrap metal, which is a real thing that real people are really doing in the world. So I'm not quite there, but yeah, I don't know that it's much, much worse. But again, it comes back to Cold War. It comes back to the communism fear that we had in the scares of both the Russian situation, so the original Cold War, and then of course the 80s, the Soviet-American conflicts that happened there. And yeah, China and North Korea and these ones are just the latest in all of those. Two people disagree, don't like each other. But there's a big problem with that, isn't there? There's a massive problem in that we pretty much rely on everything. Can you do me a favor? Wherever you are right now, look around you. Look at every item that either uses a battery or plugs into a wall. So every electric or electronic item that you can see right now, and tell me how many of those are not manufactured in China. I'll start. I have a Google Wi-Fi router there next to a TP-Link router. They're both made in China. I have a Brother printer that's made in China. I have an Asus and an LG monitor. Now, the LG monitor, I believe, is made in Korea. So maybe that's the one thing I have that's not made in China. I have some IK multimedia speakers made in China, iPad, iPhone made in China, Rodecaster Pro made in China, Apple Mac Mini and Mac Studio made in China, this mouse made in China. So you get my point, right? We're very reliant on China for our products. So is services different? Why is services different? Well, it's the data, isn't it? It's data security. It's data security. And we're very paranoid that the wrong people have our data. Here's my problem with that, with the wrong people have our data. They already do. And seeing who's doing a dance to a particular song and what you like and don't like isn't really much worse. Now, the other side of that people say is, yeah, yeah, yeah. But what about when they use that data to then sell their side of the story? The propaganda machine kicks in, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Except it does that everywhere else as well. And if someone was trying to spread Chinese propaganda, would they do it on the TikTok app, or would they slide in and be a bit more stealthy about it and do it on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or any bloody where else? It's strange. It's like when we started banning Russian companies from doing things, and it's like it's not the legitimate Russian companies. Like Kaspersky was an antivirus software company, and because they were based out of Russia, Kaspersky antivirus can't be used anywhere in US government anymore. Because the Russians might be spying. No, they're probably infiltrating the American-made ones. They're not stupid. They're not going to put it right there out in Front Street. All of the stuff that people are worrying about that they can see is nothing. It pales into insignificance with what's being shared on the dark web, what's being monitored and surveilled of you right now without you knowing about it. Is it just a distraction? Maybe, but it's a pretty successful distraction, isn't it? It's very, very weird. Oh, breaking on the tariffs. Seems that tariffs are delayed for 30 days with Canada while negotiations take place. See, it worked. Gosh darn it, it didn't it work? Look, we could have a whole different discussion about tariffs. Watch Economics Explain. I'm not going to go into it because I'm not a political or an economics channel, despite the fact that that's what we're talking about here. But Economics Explained has a great video. If you've never seen the channel, he's an Australian dude. He doesn't show his face, so you don't actually know who he is. Yeah, step 1, tariffs. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, profit. That's it. So yeah, watch that one. I'm only halfway through it, as you can see. I started watching it before the show and ran out of time. But I trust that dude, and he's completely non-partisan and will hopefully give some good information there. And yeah, look, just like this, it changes every 30 minutes or so. Hey, it's me. Hello, Trevor Bear. Hope you're doing well. Staying cool out there in Arizona land. Where were we on my points and my topics here? Yeah, so data security is a thing. And look, also, when someone please think of the children. We talked about that before. Here in Australia, we're trying to ban social media. I would rather ban partisan news than social media, because I think social media actually does a better job. My children watching TikTok get a more balanced view of the world than if they went to Sky News or Fox News or even the ABC, even news sources that I think are more balanced. They're never going to be that balanced. But if you are smart enough to use critical thinking and listen to what people say and go, that sounds legit, and listen to what other people say and that sounds bullshit, then you're going to do a lot better than trusting one source, regardless of what that one source is. So I actually think that the whole panic around social media, that it's going to ruin our children and it's going to be bad. And look, there's things like cyberbullying. I get that. That's bad. Parents and teachers and authorities need to be aware of that sort of stuff. And we need to, as parents, we need to not watch over our children's shoulders and not give them the opportunity to, test and experiment and do things, but have that understanding, have those conversations with them about using critical thinking and about what that actually means. Like my children, I've had to, from a very early stage, talk to them about advertising and promotion and why people say things. They used to love Mr. Beast and Norris Nuts and all these people. And every time they watched a video, I'd say to them, who do you think paid for that video? And they'd be like, what do you mean? They just used that blah toy. And I'm like, no. That toy company paid them to do that. So when they say we really like Thing, just remember, they really like Thing because Thing paid them all the money. Yeah, the corporate news is worse than junk food. Exactly. Jim Gaffigan, who's one of my favorite comedians, has a really funny bit. He's like, when I talk to people about the fact that I get McDonald's, people are always so anti-McDonald's. They're like, oh, you have McDonald's? That's terrible. And he's like, you have a McDonald's too. Like watching reality TV, that's McDonald's. And yeah, watching the corporate news, that's McDonald's. It's all just disposable junk that we know we shouldn't, but we still do. I went down a rabbit hole yesterday because I used to work in the energy industry, and I went down a rabbit hole of those those fake articles. So, you know, when you're reading a news website, I don't anymore, but I wanted to as a bit of an experiment. I'm like, are they still there? The horrible like funnel and click ad things. And yeah, they're still there. Have you ever seen those things like seniors in Australia are rushing to buy this? Men over 40 can't stop talking about this new weight loss drug. And one of them was, uh, yeah, this amazing breakthrough in technology can save you up to 90% off your energy bills. And it's this plug-in device and I'm like, that cannot possibly be true. And I'm reading through, and it's one of those giant scrolling things, all of the fake information, fake names, fake photos, fake testimonials. And I get to the end, and I'm like, who is actually falling for this? And I'm like, okay, the fight is real. I've got to continue talking to my children and helping them. Otherwise, yeah, the future doesn't look bright, folks, if the kids don't know this stuff. All right, we're on the homeward stretch here, I promise. I hope you, look, I know, we'll get back to music next week, I promise, but this is just, it is so topical at the moment, and it is definitely something that we need to have at least an awareness of. Hello, Brenda. Hope you're doing well. Is it actually useful? In all of this, have we lost the scope of, is this actually something that actually adds value, that people should actually be using the old TikTok? And I've tried. Like TikTok's not for me. I think I'm a little old for TikTok. I'm not saying that to be ageist or, but I'm not. I've never been a huge short form content. I love me some long. I love some video essays. I love me at least a 10, 15, 20 minute rant. I don't know that TikTok is for me. Now I've tried. I've been in there and I've tried training the algorithm to make it better for me. So if I go to TikTok right now, it'll probably be my daughter's video. So I'm just going to make. Oh look. So it's given me a Mike Enjo video from Black Friday. So we're talking a while ago. It's then giving me, is this South Australia's best swimming hole? It's then giving me, she's never known a kind human before. So it's about a doggo that this person's trying to help, which is lovely because I like doggos. So yeah, a Dr. Zorda's video. Shout out to Dr. Zorda's. A picture of a little puppy that's getting ready for sleep that looks like my dog Basil, which is cute. Um, and then finally, we get to some people doing a weird dance. So, yeah, look, is that cool? Is that if I used it more, if I started liking and disliking and training the algorithm more, would I get stuff? Yeah, but it's just not for me because I, I don't want to just scroll through and watch 30 or 60 seconds of a bunch of little things. That's just enough to get me interested. I'd be like, I want to watch I want to watch more. I want to hear more. So it's kind of not for me. Where I think it has been useful, and this has sort of revolutionized my thinking in terms of tutorials, is the benefit of the 30-second or the 1 minute tutorial. If you've looked at some of my videos lately, you might have noticed that they've reduced in length. And that is that when there is a topic, which is how to do thing, it should be straight into it. Because the worst videos, hopefully we can agree that the worst videos are the ones where the person spends 10 minutes telling you, here's why it's important to know this thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you in this video. Here's the history of this thing. Here's what you're going to be able to do once you know this thing. And you're like, just tell me the thing. Tell me the thing. And the amount of videos that I know now, like they'll have a 30-second stinger at the start, and then it'll be like, it'll be like 10 seconds of background noise, and then it'll be a guy like, hi, my name is Ravi. And I'm like, Ravi, lovely mate, your mother spent time naming you, don't care. And if you, like me, you enjoy GarageBand, but you find that you can't automate the volume well, in this video, I'm going to show you how we can automate the volume in GarageBand. And once you know the secrets of automating, I'm like, hi, to automating GarageBand, first open GarageBand. Number 2, tap on the icon. Number 3, tap on the button in the top left to turn off the lock. Number 4, place your points where you would like the volume changes to happen. Number 5, click or tap and drag those volume points to change the volume. Automation can be great for fade-ins, fade-outs, removing of vocals. That's it. So I think that the benefits are going to be things like that. When I was trying to learn about lithium batteries, you know, those little CR2032 and 2025 and 2044, I wanted to learn about them because I was like, what's the difference? And I watched a 25-minute dude that was very smart, very knowledgeable, try to explain it to me. I then watched a 1 minute TikTok where someone was like, all this means is the 20 means that it's 20 millimeters and the other is the thickness. So there's actually no difference between a 2025 and a 2032. It's just that one's thicker than the other, and one might not fit in the other one's socket because of the size of the hole for your battery. That's all. Voltage exactly the same, everything else the same. So yeah, I think that the short video stuff is good for those sort of things. But again, I'm not the majority. I'm the minority. Yeah, it is the 25-minute dude. And look, I love it. If you're having a deep dive into things, that's fine. Having like if you, but again, there's a difference. A show like this, people are like, I can't believe it's a 1 hour show. I'm like, yeah, no, you're watching the wrong show. That's why I try to be very clear up front now with this show to say, if you're looking for how to learn how to use GarageBand, I know this show is called GarageBand Weekly, but this is probably not the show you're looking for. Hello, Dynamite Throw. How are you doing, my friend? What have we got? We've got about 5 minutes left. Do you have any final questions or comments? Please throw them in the chat. But I wanted to bring this all back to something that I think is a concern for me, and that is that depending what happens with TikTok and depending what happens with other companies moving forward, what will this mean for us? Because we have other companies, so not everything is, I know it's hard to imagine, but not everything is based out of the United States of America. A lot of things come from other countries. So Cubasis is not GarageBand. So GarageBand, yeah, Apple, American company. So we're going to skip over that one because yeah, it's unlikely that GarageBand or Logic Pro is going to be impacted, despite the fact that a lot of the production of the devices that we use those on are created in another country, and things like tariffs could drastically increase the prices of those products for you. That's another story and another topic for another day, right? But think of Cubasis. That's based out of Germany. So that's a European company. Steinberg, European company, based out of Germany. What if suddenly we don't want to do deals with Europe? What if there was a service fee, a tariff whacked on the cost of buying things from Steinberg, of buying Cubasis? Suddenly they have to charge 25, 50, 75, 100% more. What about something like BandLab? Guess where BandLab is based out of? Probably don't know, but it's from Singapore. So BandLab is a Singaporean company. And yes, that may be for tax purposes sometimes, but it's going to be a thing, isn't it? There's a lot of things where just the geographics of where a company is based could drastically impact your ability to use it. And this is not only a products thing, but a services thing. And we're in a service culture now. So a lot of things that we use are subscription based or are service based. And that means that every time we pay for something, are we going to have to be worried about where the data of that thing is located, where the parent company that owns that thing is located? Have you ever even thought about it? For those that use Steinberg audio interfaces or mixers, or Yamaha, because Yamaha are owned by Steinberg too, so many of us have a Yamaha mixer or a Steinberg interface sitting on our desks right now. You don't think about the fact that that's not an American company, it's a German company, do you? I don't know. I don't. What about all your TVs? They're all owned by Asian companies, aren't they? Asus, I'm looking at here. LG, Korean. Acer, you name it. Sony, Samsung. These are all Asian country owned companies. So it's a slippery slope, is what I'm saying here. That the banning culture and then the let's just shut down a thing could have a slippery flow on effect to pretty much everything we do in terms of all the products and all the services that we use. And I think it's just something we need to think about because it sets a precedent. We've seen some of the horrible precedents that have been set in the last couple of years that have undone the previous precedents. And this could be something in the tech industry that I don't think even the tech bros and the crypto bros and the billionaires and millionaires are thinking about that could have a flow-on impact. Yeah, who does make Mackie? That's a good question. Mackie might actually be US-based. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Mackie sounds like it's US. Let's find out. What country is the Mackie company from? Mackie is an American professional audio products company. Yes, but I'm sure if you, oh, hang on, hang on. In December 2023, the Australian Pro audio brand Rode acquired Mackie. Now that's the AI overview, but it says here Mackie is an American products brand founded in Seattle in 1988 by Greg Mackie. So it looks as though, let's go to Wikipedia. That's going to be a little bit better. Yeah. Where's it got here? Name change. Doesn't actually have details of it being acquired in Wikipedia. So that may be a question everything, don't believe one source kind of thing. Interesting. There you go. Even if something's officially produced, that doesn't mean that they made the exactly. Yeah, there's that whole thing of we have a thing in our supermarket saying "made in Australia" from local and imported sources, and I'm pretty sure the percentage to say "made in Australia" from local and imported to have the from local and imported, I think it's 10% local ingredients. I don't think it's very high. So you could have a product that is 90% components from somewhere else, 10% Australian produced components, or in the case of food products, and they could say made in Australia from local and imported products. Yeah. Technically Aussie. Yeah, so I think so. Manuel says Seattle. Yeah. So I think it is a Seattle. It was a Seattle company, but it looks like old mate Mackie, Greg Mackie, sold it off to Rode in 2023 based on the small amount of information I've had a look at. And yeah, Mackie make good stuff. Guess what, folks? We are done ski, but I did want to turn your attention if you would like to have more chatter with a very, very nice dude, one of the nicest guys in all of the online music creator community world, you might want to go and check out this show here. It is called The Community Pulse, today featuring Zonis. Is that the Zonis? I was going to say, is that my Zonis? Let's check the description here. Zonis Music. Is that the cool band? It is. It's Zonis. Oh, that is super duper cool. I love this band. They absolutely rock. They've been a featured artist on Your Music Live. Oh, that is... I'll be tuning in for that one. Ah, good job, Frank. Frank's got the connections. Frank's doing the work, isn't he? That's super cool. Because I think, I could get this totally wrong, but I think Zonis, I think that's their surname, and I think they're brother and sister. I'm going to get in trouble if it's wrong. They're like, no, we're married, Pete. Like, sorry. Oh, but that is super cool. I should probably become a member of Frank's channel because he's very kind to me. So yeah, go and check that one out. That's going to be cool. I want to find out. I want to meet Zonis, and I'll be tuning into that one. So go and check that show out if you would like to have more chatter, and I'm sure they'll talk more about music than what I did. Oh, see, I should have known that Thomas Christ would have jumped in there. Or Mackie Onyx 12. Yeah, they're that's a mixing desk, isn't it? That's a mixer, the Onyx 12. It's a USB compatible one, I think. Not sure. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, look, again, we will be back to music next week. People have been asking, let me know. People have been showing. Folks have been saying we should do an 8-bar challenge. And I think that's good because we're in the quiet time, like a long way out from Songtember. So maybe we do that for next week's GarageBand Weekly. Maybe we do an 8-bar challenge and we kick that off and do that over like the 2 weeks or so, like for the rest of February. What do you reckon? I think that's the thing. Moo Cow, yes, you are late. Please report to the office to get your detention slip. So you'll be picking up papers. Do people still do that at school? Do you still have to pick up the paper? Like we used to have a detention thing where if you did something wrong for like 10 minutes at lunchtime or recess time, you'd have to walk around and pick up like X number of pieces of rubbish and then show them to the teacher on duty, and then you could leave. And of course, you know what kids did. Straight to the bin, no shame, pull out 5 pieces of rubbish. Here you go, teacher. And then you're off. Because you're relying on the littering of your fellow classmates. It's no good. Yes, I will take my, detention days were awful, weren't they? Just awful. All right. So thank you, everybody. Hello to you, but goodbye. That's going to do it for this show. That's it for me for the live shows this week. I will be doing a couple of little drop-in sort of live streams, I guess, of me for my patrons and for the channel members over the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for those, I'm still kind of getting my portable rig down with my microphone and whatnot, so I'll be testing out a few things. But until next time, folks, I've got to say, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, keep creating, and I'll see you here on Studio Live today. Oh, and we just turned 9. So happy birthday, Studio Live, today. Doing this for 9 years, which is a little bit ridiculous. All right, that's going to do it for this one. I'll see you over on Frank's show. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, keep creating. See you next time.